I am absolutely excited about today. This is the moment I know I've been waiting for, and I think a lot of you too. It's when we're going to introduce the newest update to Inner Voice. Inner Voice, and from the comments that have come in over the last 2 years, I think we all share the same love for Inner Voice. It is absolutely fabulous. It's changing lives. It's changing the way we think and the way we talk to ourselves. Inner Voice is awesome. Well, today's the day, and it's going to be coming out over the next few months, more and more of this, because it's such a big update. But let's just jump into, well, actually, before we jump into it, let me give you a little bit of history. Do you know the first time we introduced Inner Voice was in 2006? And it was really basic. It was really simple. It literally looked at 12 notes in one octave of your voice. And it would tell us what the volumes or the intensities of each one of those was. And then we knew the one that had the lowest intensity was one that was representing buried emotions. And the one that had the highest was representing emotions that we kind of overcompensated for. That's where it started. And then over the next 6 years, it evolved where it was getting up to where it was looking at more like 120 frequencies in that same range. And another 10 years went by, and now we're looking at almost 8,000 to 10,000 frequencies in that same range of our voice. And over the years, we've learned and we've found that these frequencies have a direct correlation to areas of our body, our adrenals, our lungs, our heart, even cellular activity. And, we all know we can be driving down the car and listening to the radio and a song will come on that we haven't heard in a long time. Or maybe it was something when we were in our teens and we're immediately brought right back. Music, and more specifically, the frequencies in that music take us right back to that part of our brain that triggers those memories and those feelings. Inner Voice is so powerful in the way it helps us or can hinder us in the way we live our lives. So with Inner Voice where it's at now, as of today, you're going to see a new screen. And so let's just jump into that, and then we'll go into some more of this. So Inner Voice, when you open up your screen and you'll see it here, you click on Inner Voice, you've got a new screen. You've got an absolutely new user interface. Now, before we get too excited, for those of you who do not like change, and there are a few of you out there, if you'll notice up at the top, there's a button that says Classic Tones. And you click that and you're right back to where you've always been and where you may be comfortable. But I promise you that if you click the other one, Pulse Tones, it won't take you very long to become very comfortable with this new one. Now, there's some things here that I want to address right off the bat. The purple box says average frequency. And then the box right to the right of it says pulse. Let's talk about those two things. Remember a second ago, I was telling you that we're looking now at somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 frequencies in that range in our voice. What the average frequency is it takes all of those relevant frequencies in that range and averages them together. And that's for in this particular recording, the average was 439.14 hertz. Okay. If we take all of those relevant frequencies, and I'll tell you in a minute why that's important, but that is the frequency resonance that you were speaking at as you were doing this recording. Right next to it to the right is the box that says pulse. And that is that frequency number over here divided down until we can get it into the musical range of between 60 and 120 pulses per second. These are important because that is your unique voice signature or fingerprint at that moment in time. This is 100% you, not the person next to you or anyone else. It is you. Whereas Inner Voice on the Classic, it was looking at just the tones in your voice as a general and not actually narrowing it down to your specific frequency. Now, if you remember, it's probably been 6 or 7 weeks ago, in one of our calls, I explained to you that inner voice was going to make some major changes and it would become more specific to you in every aspect. Just like vitals and comprehensive, they're very specific to your specific frequencies and particularly the frequencies that are out of range. Well, now that we can take all those frequencies, those relevant ones, but in that octave, and average those down and find, okay, here is where my frequency range is, and this is the pulse rate of my voice, that helps the software analyze, okay, not just some of the emotions that are out, but it can actually lead us, and especially as some of these newer updates, or these future updates come out, to what specific area of my body is being affected with this range and this pulse rate. And it's interesting. I've done, as we've been working with this program, my frequencies, depending on the time of the day, my moods, what I just did or who I just spoke to, has ranged anywhere from 200 and something hertz to all the way up to almost 1500 hertz. And my pulse rate anywhere from 62 to as high as 119. And they were incredibly accurate on how I was feeling at the moment. Now, knowing how we feel at the moment, whether we're down or we're up or we're apprehensive or excited, is one thing. But to know exactly what it's doing to us physically is an entirely different animal to deal with. And that's where this gets exciting. To be able to zero in even more on how we can see where we're out of balance, know what we need to change, and make those changes in either the way we think or what we eat or in just the way we live our life. So this is exciting. That now becomes your new signature at that moment in time. Remember, we've told you when you're doing a vital scan or a comprehensive scan, you need at least an hour in between, maybe only once a day, 3 times a week, something. Inner voice you can use throughout the day, multiple times. In the morning, I recommend every morning and every evening for sure, but throughout the day too. As you're going through your day, you hit your afternoon slump, do that little inner voice, take a few minutes to listen to some of those tones, and you'll be amazed at how your thinking process changes, how your moods change, and how you just become more efficient at what you're trying to do. Inner voice is one of those you really can't get too much of. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the average frequency and the pulse. Now, if you look below that, you'll see your 4 notes that came up. Your 4 notes you actually see 8 notes. You see in the small black bar, you see the notes that were out of range. And below that, you see the notes that are the balancing notes. And maybe this is a good time to talk about this. There's been some people a little concerned that we're not with the right frequencies in the musical scale and musical tones. We're using these tones more as a reference of what the scanner is delivering to you. We use the Pythagorean or Divini, or there's other names for it, scale of tuning, which means that the note A is tuned to 432, not 440. And all the other notes are tuned to that on that scale. And there's pro and con on that out there. We personally like that. I personally like that. I think it resonates more with the human body, and it can be scaled down to the resonance of the earth, 7.86 hertz. And so we like that scale, but we're only using those scales or those particular notes when we're trying to deliver the balancing harmonic. So I don't want you to get hung up on, is it the 440, the 432, or whatever. The note is still, wherever that comes in and delivered back to you, is going to resonate with you because it is balanced on your frequencies. It's not balanced on some scale for tuning a piano or a guitar. Okay, so just so that we understand that. Okay, below your notes, you see a round circle. This is just a graph that's going to show you what the frequency wave looks like. And you're probably not going to look at that. Most of the time, you're just going to listen to your tones, but it just kind of gives you an idea. On either side of that circle, there are two writer bars. I can move them up, move them down. And what they do is they control either the music or the frequency. Now, the frequency is the magic. Frequency is that secret sauce that your brain needs to hear. The music is just there because the frequency on its own can be grating. It's not going to be something you definitely want to listen to in most cases. The odd chance that you get a perfectly harmonic frequency to listen to is going to be very, very rare. But the music is there just so that you can kind of mask the frequency. Your brain is still picking up on the frequency. But you have the ability to adjust the music and the frequency to your liking. This is something that's really awesome. Now, it has probably 10 to 12 different pieces of music in here now. Now, right now, you don't have the ability to add your own music. You have the ability to select any of the pieces of music that are in the program. But in the future, you will have the ability to add music to this program that'll only be on your device. But that isn't available in this update today, but in the future. Now, to the right, the top box is your little square wave symbol. You have the ability to select 4 different waveforms of delivering the frequency to your brain. And the brain really doesn't care. I'll just show you what they are. Sine wave, square wave, sawtooth, and triangle. The frequencies that are going into your brain, it doesn't matter which waveform that you select. So select the one that is soothing to you, the one that you like the most. I personally like sawtooth and triangle, but I know some people like square wave or sine. It's really subjective to just what you want. Below that box is the octaves. And you have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 octave. Again, this is based on your particular liking. The higher octave is going to be a higher tone, a little bit louder. The lower octaves are a lower tone, and the volume of those are lower. But again, you're going to be able to find the one I like this one. And that may change from one inner voice scan to the next. That's the beauty of this, is you have that ability. Now, having showed you all of these things, let me tell you something else. If you don't want to mess with any of those things, it will automatically, once you've done your inner voice scan, it will automatically go in and find, based on your frequency, what the system thinks is best for you at that moment. So it would go in through and select one of the frequency delivery methods. It will go through and select one of the pieces of music that's there. It will go through and select the waveform, and it will select the octave. Now, having said that, it's done it all for you. You can just adjust the volumes of the music and the waveform to suit yourself, and then just play the tones. Or you can go, well, I kind of like this better, or I like this better, or whatever. So let me just show you a little bit. So let's go and I'm going to turn the music all the way down and just bring the frequency up. So we're at sine wave, and we're at the Tesla 369. All right, so let's go through and let me just show you how these frequencies work a little bit. Now, right now you hear the music and you hear the tone. Let me see if I can pull that music down to where we hear just the frequency. So you can hear just the frequency and you can kind of see it. Now, if you'll notice, the color of that round circle changes with each note as it's moving through. See, now it's on note G sharp. And once it does the 3, 6, 9, it will move over to the F sharp. You'll see that here happen. See that? It just moved. You'll see 3 and then 6 and then 9. And now it will go back to the E. You see? Now that's what sine wave looks like. Let's see what square looks like. Now you see the difference. See, and you can hear the difference. And you may want to bring that volume down to where it's not so high by adjusting that. Or you can go to sawtooth and you can go to triangle. Now see, for me, my preference is I like the triangle. It's more soothing to me. But again, I'm going to put music on top of that. All right, so now you've seen that. Let's leave it right here. I'm on triangle. I'm also on octave 4. If I open up the octaves and I change it to octave 3, it's a lower octave, okay? Same frequencies, but a lower octave. If I take it up to 6, same frequencies, but at a higher octave, okay? And you can see it in the picture as well. So that's how your things work. Now let's go back to the way the signal is delivered to you. So right now it's set on 3, 6, 9. We'll start it again. Bring that music down. And we have just the tone. 3, 6, 9, I've told you it goes 3 and then 6 times, and then it will do 9 times. If I want to change that to 8, 8, and again, each one of these has a specific reason that you'd pick one of those. Now see, it's 8, then it'll pause, and then 8 again, and then pause, and then 8 again. We can go 2, 2, 8. So 2, pause, and then 8. You see? Okay. Next one is 1, 1, 1, 1. So it's the same thing with a short pause. And then goes through your frequency. And the last one is 0.25, 0.25, and 1. Okay, so we'll turn that off. To me, this is really exciting because it gives me opportunities to make changes and customize the way I want to receive that information I need. A lot of this is just ear candy. Okay, it's what your mood is for at that time. And again, all of that we did right there was just the tones. And you're not really going to be listening to just the tones. You're going to set that to where you like the octave, you like the waveform, you like the delivery mechanism. You get all that set, and then you're going to select your music. Now, if you take just the auto one, the one that the scanner tried to balance with your frequencies, then all you're really going to do is adjust the volume of the tones and the music to where you're comfortable with that mix. So on the music, so let's take a look at the music real quick. So I turned the audio down, the frequencies down. You can select the different pieces of music, and there's always a little bit of a fade into the music. And there's about 10 or 12 of these already built in, and there'll be more added as time goes by. You find that piece of music that you really like, that resonates with you. Set the volumes. Get your tones. So you can see I'm bringing that frequency down to where it's comfortable. That's what I'm going to listen to. And when you've got it all set the way you want it, you'll push the little envelope button and it'll put that into an MP3 file and send it to you, or send it to whoever you've got set up for that to go. So you have literally just customized your voice frequencies, decided which waveform you're going to pick, which piece of music you're going to listen to, the delivery method that you want it sent to, and the octave. You can do all that in a matter of seconds and then customize that, send it to yourself, or send it to whoever it's going to go to, or just listen to it. Now, here's the other part that's exciting. Actually, two more parts that's exciting. So no longer now do you need to have two different sets of headsets. And that's also working the same with the Classic. Even though Classic looks and performs the same, the way we've done the audio is the same on both. So one, if you're using the Bluetooth headset from AO, they're perfectly tuned and they'll work perfect whether you're listening to your scanner frequencies or you're listening to your inner voice frequencies. You don't have to switch to a new headset or earbuds. It works. Actually, I think it works even better now with the Bluetooth headset. So that's the one. The other change is, remember, if you wanted to listen to all of your tones, it took 12 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. Now it's going through all of those, and you can listen to it for 3 minutes and you get all of your frequencies. And because of the way it's customized to your brain's frequency, because of what you just recorded, you're getting, it's like the condensed version. Instead of having to get 3 minutes of that, because it was more generic, because it's fine-tuned to your frequencies, you're going to get the same benefit in far less time. So you can set it for 3 minutes, or you'll be able to also select 5 minutes, or just let it run continuous, but it will cycle through those. Unless you feel like you need to just focus on one, then you'll be able to just select that note and it will just play that note the way you've set it up. This is the new inner voice. I think this is so absolutely phenomenal. Now, if you look down at the bottom of your page, you still have your reports. The reports is the same information as before. And if you go back and forth between tones and Classic, you can go back and forth. They're completely interchangeable. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of the new version of Inner Voice. Now, I know I ramble a lot on this because I'm really excited about this. This is one of the closest things to my heart is Inner Voice, because if we control our emotions, we have much greater control over everything else that happens in our body, from our simple getting a cold or a flu, or how we interact with other people. These things are so important. The heart and the brain, when those two are in sync, we accomplish miracles. And Inner Voice allows us to get to that point in our soul to where we're speaking our truths, but we're speaking them in a way that doesn't offend ourselves or other people. So use your inner voice, use it often. Listen to these things, play with these different tones, play with the music, play with the delivery systems, find what resonates with you, and watch how this one program of AO Scan will change your lives. Change the lives of those that you love and those that you work with. Now, one last thing. Inner Voice, like everything else in AO Scan, is continually evolving, never be finished. Play with this and give us your feedback. Let us know what you think about it. Let us know what things you think could maybe be improved, or things that you would maybe like to see added to. And we take all of these things, all your comments, we take seriously. We look at those and see how we can do it. There's more coming. Now, a few months ago, I talked with you about how, as we've been working with Inner Voice over the last, about 18 months now, our engineers came in and says, we're seeing correlations with this frequency and this part of the body, this cell or this tissue responds to this frequency. When we see these anomalies, we can kind of direct it where it goes. That's not quite in the system for you yet, but it's coming to where, as you do your Inner Voice, it's going to be able to say, maybe you ought to go and scan these things in Comprehensive, or maybe scan these things in Vitals. And it may even come up and suggest different supplements from your supplement library, because the resonating frequency of that and your voice at that moment in time. Just when you thought I was done, I'm not. I want to talk a little bit about the Lightwave glasses, the color therapy glasses, because they go hand in hand with your Inner Voice. Now, we're well aware that you can buy color therapy glasses anywhere, Amazon for heaven's sakes, and they're all good. They all give you that wavelength of color. The difference between all other glasses and ours, it's a small difference, but it's a difference. And that is we use optically correct lenses, which means that you don't get a ripple effect. You don't have a thicker or a thinner part of the color in the glass because it's an actual optical lens. Number one. Number two, the wavelength of that color, the Pantone color that we use, is perfectly tuned to the frequencies that we're using in those 12 notes. And so they're small. It's small changes, but they're important changes to us. But as far as if budget is something that your clients are really sensitive to, or you are, these other glasses will do the job. Our whole goal is to give you the absolute best that we can give and to make sure that the frequency that you're seeing matches the frequency that you're hearing. And when those two are in sync, it's even better. So a little bit off, I don't know. But if they're dead on, that's what we want. So enjoy, use your new tools, and we'll go from there.